like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel that air it out, air it out. I hate it, clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. Take off. I'm on a rocket, a space dog. Bought a new car from Elon, wanna race. I've been asking how long is it gonna take. I've been cracking the car, had to break it safe. I've been riding my wrongs, had to change my ways. I was stuck in one place, so I had to shake. They try holding me down, but I found my way. Roddy Rich and so bicycle love me. Ride away, then my heart went on ice again. Find the balance, my patience been going thin. In the field every day till I reach the end. Popping up on your side like we out of bounds. Ain't no way that they think that it's stopping now. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. Air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel that air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out.
What's up, football fans, and welcome to the Air It Out podcast. I am your host. My name is Avery, and I've got a panel of amazing analysts joining me here this evening. Well, it could be morning, depending on where you're watching from. So joining me here today, how about that? That's Darius. That's the one and only Juan plus one. And the coach, Darius. Say what's up to the people, man.
You're back again. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We got to keep it going. Happy to be back. Always happy to be on the panel with the squad, with the gang, talking football. We got a great show today. I'm ready to talk. We got some interesting stuff to talk about today. So I'm ready.
Oh, he talking that talk. What you mean go to sleep? What are you talking about, Jerome? What you talking about? Anywho, Juan, say what's up to the folks.
Just want to say what an amazing time it is to do this 4 weeks in a row. And we are already doing this podcast longer than Draymond Green was playing in the game last night.
The shots that have been fired.
Why do you think I'm wearing my Warriors thing for today, man? Because Steph Curry ain't no joke and comes up in clutch when you need him. Draymond, what are you doing, man?
Well, I mean, it's Draymond. Okay, that's Draymond. Coach, say what's up to the folks.
4 weeks is way longer than that 4-minute time frame that Draymond was in. I'm just saying. But hey, listen, glad to be back. And honestly, let's get right into it. I'm not here to waste time. I'm here to talk that good old football, people.
Say less. Say less. It's not the NBA podcast. It's not what are the lines on the court? Are they called lines? Inside the lines? It's not inside the lines. It's not shoot it from three. It's the Air It Out podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna get right into
kind of air it out in basketball, but that's a whole
but it's not the same. It's not the same.
Nah, basketball, you just gotta let that thing go.
Gotta let it. There you go. It's not the let it go. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's not the let it fly. You know, it's not inside the hardwood. There you go.
Inside the.
You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute now.
Big bucks, people. That's why he gets the big bucks.
That's right.
Wait a minute now. That's actually.
You like it?
That's actually.
Again, this is why he gets paid the big bucks. People.
Inside the hardwood, presented by Inside the Hashes. Anyway.
Not rappers though.
But right now, we're talking about the Air It Out podcast brought to you by Inside the Hashes. And we're going to jump right in because it seems like you guys have a bunch that you want to talk about. So we're going to start with, I guess you can call it breaking news from the NFL this week. But the hip drop tackle has been banned. The hip drop tackle has been banned. I'm not going to get into an explanation of what a hip drop tackle is, only because I don't think the NFL fully knows what a hip drop tackle is, okay? But I am going to say that this one is a little bit controversial. So we're gonna jump in. Coach, seemed like you were real adamant here. So let's go ahead and jump. Let's go. Ooh, I like that. Inside the paint is fire too. I ain't gonna hold you. I like that. I like it. Well, listen, our CEO has given us his thoughts already. Yeah, I mean, Coach, talk to me because you seem fired up about this one here.
So I'll make it as simple as this. And I normally don't ever say this, but I'm an avid TikTok watcher, people. And I most of the time watch for the little funny videos and all that. And I came across a page one day recently from a guy named Benchwarmer Brand. I don't know if y'all have seen his work before, but he honestly explained it the best. The NFL basically said, hey, no more hip drop tackles. And we as a fans asked, what is a hip drop tackle? And there's two ways to explain it. It's either a tackle where you're basically wrapping around the middle of the waist and bringing them down slowly while wrapping and twisting. But to the average watcher, a hip drop tackle is a tackle, people. It's just a tackle. It's a normal tackle at the waist. So what is the NFL banning? Tackling. What does the NFL not want? Defense. But what does the NFL love more than anything else? It's those points going up, and up. They already complained about it being one of the lowest scoring years of the last couple decades, like almost the last decade. Listen here. NFL wants us to be playing flag football shortly. They're going to try to make it happen by 2030. So when we cannot and no longer see the big hits, we're going to remember the days of our Ray Lewis's and Cam Chancellors. And then look forward to our days of 707 in the big leagues. Because that's what this is heading to.
Got you. Okay. Darius, thoughts?
At first when I heard it, I mean, yeah, you're taking away defense, but I kind of play devil's advocate, right? Like the NFL is about, they want scoring to happen, right? They want high scoring games. We want to watch high scoring games deep down inside. Yes, we want to see defense. We want to see the big hits, but we want to see a back and forth. We want to see a shootout. You guys remember the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams game in the Coliseum? That's the type of games I think the NFL wants, but they want it on a consistent basis. Secondly, I understand from a health standpoint, they want to protect their players. That's what the NFL is always going to say. We're trying to protect our players. We want to make sure everybody's healthy. I mean, you saw what happened with Mark Andrews. He got hurt with that tackle. He hurt his ankle, and he missed most of the end of the season. So they want to protect their players, but at the same time, defensive players. Now the question is, how can I hit? I can't do the helmet to helmet because that's going to be 15 yards. Now I can't do the hip drop tackle. Like, where can I hit these guys? I can't hit the quarterback below the knees because if I do, that's 15 yards and all that other stuff. So from a defensive player perspective, they're going to really be taught how to tackle. And it's like, how do you train these people, like these players, how to tackle? And like I said, we're going to miss the big hits. Like, you see a big hit, you're like, whoa, right? Like, that's your first initial reaction. Then they play the replay. Shortly, that's going to be going, like Darren said, it's going to be flag football. And the NFL is slowly killing their own product by trying to be safe. But what they have to realize is this game was built on physicality, right? And it has to stay like that. Like, that's what the game was built on. We want to see high scoring, but we also want to see the hits, right? So I'm not a fan of it, but I'm pretty sure we all can agree we're not really big of a fan of it, especially if they're making the game soft.
All right, Juan.
The wrong comment. I'm not watching anymore then.
Give me your thoughts, sir.
Gentlemen, football is what? It is a 100% injury risk game. That means no matter what position you play, no matter what you do, you are going to sustain an injury. That is the nature of the game. It is a contact sport in and of itself. The fact of the matter.
No. Correction. It is classified as a collision sport.
Excuse me. It is a collision sport. And what happens when you collide with something? It hurts, doesn't it? But the fact of the matter is that this rule is going to cause a lot of issues for both players, fans, and coaching staffs. For one, how do you teach these players to tackle now? Or instinctively, as a defensive player, like you've already been limited so much on where you can hit someone. What else are you supposed to do by the time you have to make contact with an offensive player? You can't pause for a second and evaluate where your body's going to go. This is a split-second decision you have to make. So that's already screwing up how coaches are going to approach this. Not to mention, it's a bit of a hypocritical take to make that you can ban hip drop tackles to prevent injuries for offensive players, yet you still won't ban cuts by offensive players to defensive players' legs, and that's led to so many other injuries. You say you want to avoid injuries, but you're not taking out one of the biggest injury makers in the NFL. Please. Another instance of hypocrisy, you say you want to keep your players healthy and keep them going, yet you still want to add more games to the season, which increases the likelihood of injury. Now, the NFL is only about one thing, that making money. And what makes money? More offensive output and more games in the season. So that's the other part of it. And then overall, just to kind of wrap up my thoughts here, the game is evolving to a point where defense is no longer being considered a huge factor anymore. Dominant defenses no longer guarantee you championships. Offensive output is the highest it's ever been in years, and yet they're still trying to push the envelope. When does it stop, and when does the focus come back to actually solidify what makes the game good in the first place?
Listen, y'all, all valid points, man. Here's my stance. I'm all for player safety, right? I'm all for player safety. I completely understand it. But at the end of the day, when you sign up to play football, you know what you sign up for. You're not walking away from an NFL season 100% healthy, right? And I'm not talking about injury, right? I don't want guys getting injured, but at the same time, like, you know what you signed up for. We talk about the NFL is they do this dance with people where it's like, oh yeah, we want our players to be healthy, but then you add an extra game. Okay, well that doesn't seem like it aligns. Okay, we want our players to be healthy. We're gonna have a game on Wednesday on Christmas, middle of the week. Okay, it's not adding up. Gotcha. Cool. So my thing is this. My whole thing is first of all, I agree with that. My issue is simply this. We're moving the goalpost too much when it comes to these rules. Okay, hip drop tackle being banned, that one I actually can understand, right? I can understand that one, kind of like the horse collar. I understand those. But hitting a defenseless player because he's going to catch the football and can't defend himself. Sorry. Quarterback, do a better job of putting the ball in a place where he can defend himself. Receiver, get up and down quicker so you can defend yourself. Like, what are we I get helmet to helmet? Yeah, that should be. I'm not talking about helmet to helmet. I'm talking about a hit on the defenseless player. That to me, it's like we're doing a little too much now. Do we even see three linebackers on the field anymore? It's at this point where it's nickel is base at this point. Nickel is base. We're seeing more 5 and 6 and 7 DB sets. We have linebackers, and this is no shade to anybody, but we have linebackers in the NFL who weigh less than 230 pounds. Could you imagine? Like, are we serious? So you mean to tell me there's wide receivers in the NFL right now that are heavier than linebackers?
Again, this is the NFL's way of tailoring itself to what we have in Madden now, where you don't use linebackers in Madden, you use safeties, and you use.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like I'm like, at this point, it's like, what's the point of going to the weight room? What's the point? I can be a Devontae Smith. I don't have to worry about Ray Lewis no more. He can't touch me. So I can be 170 pounds in the NFL. And it's to me, it's just we have to draw a line somewhere when it comes to this offensive style of football. Like, I get that people want to see points scored. I get it. I want to see good football. Literally positions are being erased. The fullback position is basically non-existent anymore.
There's like 3 good
What's
ones.
a fullback?
What is a fullback? Like middle linebacker is about to be gone. Like let's call it what it is. Fred Warner, as great as he is, he's a safety who's 235 pounds. The way he moves, the way he can cover all those different things. Like it's to me, it's just wild to think about. And again, for me, my biggest issue, I should say, like I said, is I want to see good football. I don't care about the score. That Patriots Rams Super Bowl, I loved it. That Broncos Panthers Super Bowl, I loved it. Why? Because every single snap mattered. One play could have changed the entire game. We saw
on the edge of your seat.
We see Gronk make that catch, and we're like, that's it. That's the game right there. It's over.
Yeah.
He caught it within the 5-yard, that's it. Stuff like that makes the game exciting too. Don't take that away from us. And so it's just yikes. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous at this point, and I don't know. It makes it's just making the NFL softer and softer and softer.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, right there.
This rule is going to be responsible for so many like last second play calls and flags. Like this is going to give officials even more room for error and just.
And it's bad enough that nobody likes the refs.
It's bad enough that PI gets called like you're wearing the blindfolds. Now tackling is going to have the same concept. At what point do you just not put your defense out on the field and just let the offense just run go routes all the time? At what point is this pass-ball football?
Let's run it on there. Let's see who can catch.
That's pretty much it.
But
if I'm an offensive coordinator, there's going to be 4 plays. I'm only running 4 plays. I'm running screens because as soon as I get past you, you can't tackle. Basically, can't tackle me from behind. I'm running slants because as soon as I get behind you, you basically can't tackle me from behind. I'm running crossing routes, drags, and all those because as soon as I get behind you, you pretty much can't tackle me from behind. And I'm running stop routes because as soon as you get past somebody, it's almost like they can't tackle you. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's that you can't really. I know we mentioned basketball earlier today, but I think like the NFL could start taking a page out of the NBA. That's what you want to.
I love it.
Yeah. No, like I think the NFL probably by next year will start taking a page out of the NBA and just try to find a way to bring defense back into mattering as a sport. The NBA has strayed away from defense in general and has had like so many like high scoring years since changing their rules. But I hope that but they're starting to come down from it slowly but surely. Again, slowly but surely. I hope the NFL sees the error of its ways by next season.
No, by next season, Juan, everyone will be tackling like our boy Sad Castle when he had a bad concussion. And all he did was come to me and gently place the guy down. So you know, people.
Tackle.
Again, listen, it's not going to happen. It's not going to.
Are we also going to see like? I just want to. Are we also going to see like offensive players just fake tackling or like fake falling down during tackles to get the penalty, just like they
probably. There's gonna be some flopping.
There's going to be some mad flopping. There's going to be some mad flopping. There's going to be some big Joel Embiids and James Harden's out on that field.
The fact we have to talk about flopping now coming to the NFL is crazy.
That's crazy. We would have never thought in like the early 2000s.
Oh
never
my God.
Thought that in the early 2000s.
Flopping in the NFL? Nah.
We're not going to touch that right now.
Okay, wait.
I'm not touching that.
I like
I'm not touching that.
I think it
I like
really
it. I like it a lot.
It adds and revalues the kick returner position in the NFL. I think it now adds value to special teams too. Now there's a legitimate chance for special teams to actually turn the tide in a game. That's something that a lot of people have been complaining.
Not just that. I think now it's going to actually make special teams coaches. Because of the formation, the way it is,
like you would say there's no more touchbacks.
The way it is like you have to scheme on special teams now. Like you got to drop some guys back. You can't just rush everybody because you break one seam and you're gone. It's just you and the kicker. So it's like I like the new kickoff rules.
Me too. Yeah, no, like I don't know what the head honcho is complaining about, calling them stupid. Like I think they're really good.
It is what it is. But we're going to jump into the next topic because we're going to save that for another time. I want to ask you guys. There's two guys who are, I don't want to say are on the trade block, but there's two guys that there's rumors surrounding around these guys potentially moving. One has absolutely blown the league away since he stepped into the league. The other has just been consistent. And so the question is, who would you rather trade for? If you could make a trade, who would you rather trade for? Would you trade for Justin Jefferson or T. Higgins? Darius, I'm going to start with you.
I mean, do I really got to give you is it really that is it that difficult of a choice? I'm trading for Justin Jefferson. Since he's came in the league, he's been one of the best, if not the best receivers. Even when he got hurt, he came back, he still was productive. He could run literally every route. Not discrediting T. Higgins. T. Higgins is a mismatch nightmare. Like the guy is 6'3", 6'4", and can go up and get the 50-50 ball. He's 6'5", and he can literally go up and get the 50-50 ball. But it's just something special about Justin Jefferson. I mean, when you're going on fantasy football, you're not asking, if I got T. Higgins and Justin Jefferson on the clock, who am I taking? You're taking Justin Jefferson automatically. I mean, the guy literally has been producing ever since he came in. And I really feel like he's one of those receivers. that it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball, he's still going to put up over 1,000 yards and could possibly get over 100%. Like, that's the type of company he's in. The DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, those type of receivers. T. Higgins, to me, you said it, he's consistent. That's not a bad thing. But we're talking about a game changer. You're talking about somebody, you're in the film room, you're a defensive coordinator. You're like, all right, we got to go against Justin Jefferson. We got to jam at the line. We got to have a safety over the top. That's the type of game plan that you're doing. You're sometimes triple coveraging him. Like, that's the type of coverage that you got to do. And I'm not saying T. Higgins doesn't, but it's just Justin Jefferson is a game changer. And the way that the NFL is going, that's the type of player you want, especially with the running backs they're shying away from running backs, and it's becoming a wide receiver type of league. You want somebody who can literally come in, change your offense for the better. And he takes the pressure off the wide receiver to the tight ends, because the focus is going to be on him. So your other players on that offense is going to get some time to shine, and they can put up some numbers. So give me Justin Jefferson. I'll give him a first-round pick this year, next year, the year after that, and give him whatever he wants. That's how good of a player he is.
Okay. Juan, talk to me. Who you taking?
I take T. Higgins, and it's simply because of what you said, Darius. It's because the cost for Justin Jefferson is just $2,000 to take on. I mean, Justin Jefferson is in the same league as Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, even Cooper Kupp, the elite of the elite in the NFL. What do all these players have in common? They make a little over, I think, $28 million a year, with Tyreek making over 30 with the Miami Dolphins. Not to mention, what did it cost to trade Tyreek Hill over to the Miami Dolphins? I think it was 2 first-round picks and a 5th-round pick in that same year's draft. For T. Higgins, all I would have to trade is 1 first-round pick and maybe a second and a 4th this year, and maybe a third next year. Like, I can play around with draft capital more to take T. Higgins. Not to mention, I think T. Higgins has the capability to be a wide receiver 1 on any offense. He is explosive from the line of scrimmage. He has height for any 50-50 ball that comes his way, and he is excellent in the slot. He is a versatile wide receiver. Jay Jetta, I would pay you all the money I had in the world if I had drafted you on my team. Unfortunately, you're on the Vikings. I'm not trading for you because that means I got to give a whole haul back just for one wide receiver. If I can just give a small bit of the haul to the Bengals for T. Higgins, who I know can be a wide receiver one, hell, I think he can elevate his game to the level of Jay Jetta if he had the platform to do so. And the contract situation wouldn't even be that crazy. If you look at some of the wide receiver contracts that came out this year, Mike Evans is a 2-year, $52 million deal, but it's just around like $22 to $23 million a year. Michael Pittman's also a pretty cheap deal, as was Calvin Ridley's deal. These are all much more affordable wide receiver deals than the previous year had. So with T. Higgins, I can make the same offer and still have him be a valuable asset to my team.
Not mad at it. Coach, talk to us. Who you taking?
I don't know why this is a debate, people. I understand the money. I understand, he's younger. Oh, he's just as good. He's consistent. Don't no one want to hear consistency when we're talking about a 1,400-yard season, about a 1,500-yard season, and then an 1,800-yard season in your first 3 years. That right there is consistency at one of the highest levels when you come into the league. Let's start there. And when we talk about young, Jay Jettis is what, 26, 27? We act like receivers are the ones that's dying at 30. No, that's running backs right now, people. Receivers are staying around until 33, 34. Some of them 35 if they stay healthy enough. We might not all be like Larry Fitz staying around almost to 40, but he has years. Look, I'll make it as simple as this, people. If we went around the league and we named our top AFC and NFC conference people that we think are going to truly have a chance to win it all, we're going to exclude the Cowboys now because we know it does not matter who they get. They're still going to be the Cowgirls and trash. But would the Ravens be a 10 times more legitimate threat if they had Jay Jettis? Hell yes. Would the Chiefs most likely repeat if they got Jay Jettis? Who's stopping him and Patrick Mahomes? Is the Bills now a more versatile and legit threat now having him and Stephon? Detroit Lions? Amon-Ra St. Brown and Justin Jefferson? Again, if you do the same thing with T. Higgins, you're going to see a lot of improvements. Yes, you will see a lot of good stuff happen. But the fact that Jay Jettis changed a whole nother man's name and got him more money probably when he left, yeah, I'm sorry. Nah. And if we don't know, Avery, who is your new quarterback? Is what now? What's his name?
Man, he got a bunch of names. You got
Kirko Frost, Kirko Chains, and
Big
who
Kirko.
these names? Mr. Jay Jettis himself. Listen, I'm telling you now, it's Jay Jettis, not even a question. I'm going to take a guy that's giving me 13 to 1,500 yards, over 900 to 1,000 yards every year.
There's no argument that Jay Jettis is the better receiver out of the two, but as a GM, if you're building a team and you're still trying to retain assets into continuing your team building, T. Higgins is still a good piece to get.
You don't trade away Jay Jettis unless you're that one piece away. You don't trade for a player like Jay Jettis unless you know for a fact you are one piece away or you have a quarterback on a rookie deal where you can afford to pay him like he needs to.
I'm going to say it like this.
New England.
It depends on how your team is built, on who you want. Okay? If you're a team like, let's say, Miami, Justin Jefferson doesn't fit. T. Higgins? Absolutely. Why? Because they lack size. Tyreek, Jalen, they're all smaller receivers. They don't have a red zone threat that you can say, yeah, we're going to throw this fade right here and see what you can do with it. They don't have it. Justin Jefferson is not even known for doing that. Okay? So it depends on the team that you're or it depends on what your roster looks like, as opposed to, are we arguing who's the better receiver? I mean, I don't think many people would argue that. It comes down to, again, how do you want to build your team? And then your preference, right? For me, my preference is guys who block as well. T. Higgins is a better blocker. That's just the reality. I like a guy who can go up and go get it. T. Higgins is 6'5", and we saw that catch he made. Who was it? The Houston Texans. I can't remember who was. He caught it and turned and behind his back. I'm like, what was that? That's not just athleticism. That's IQ to know where I'm at on the field. So it really depends on your preference, and then again, how your team is currently built. That'll lend itself to who you decide to go after. But I think Justin Jefferson is the way the NFL is right now. Yeah, he's benefiting way more. However, we just talked about the hip drop tackle being banned. So now I can see T. Higgins in a 6'5", 220-something pound frame dragging jokers because they can't twist around at his waist. So his yak yardage might go up. You know, that's all I'm saying. Okay? All I'm saying. Just saying. Anywho, we're going to jump into the next topic, okay? And this one is going to be interesting. We're going to go into the off-season review. We're going to actually review these offensive teams, off-season moves by these teams. We're going to start with the AFC North. And I'm going to kick it to Juan first. You kick it off for us. Give us the Browns. What are your thoughts on what the Browns have done this offseason?
So if I were to give a grade for what the Cleveland Browns have been able to pull off this offseason, against the beginning, yeah, Philadelphia definitely three-headed monster down there. Or you just get rid of that, or you just dump one contract for another and just trade in AJ Brown for T. Higgins, who's a much more versatile option.
Well, Chris, I think to Chris's point, he's saying like in a new situation in general, T. Higgins could potentially do what AJ Brown did in Philly, where he comes in and absolutely changes.
I thought you said take T to Philly, to which I would have said.
I mean, because the reality is we know who's number one in Cincinnati is Jamar Chase, right? And but I mean, listen, T. Higgins can be a number one in a multitude of different offenses. But anyway, Browns, their offseason, talk to us.
I'd give them like a B+ on what they were able to do. Like mostly what this offseason for the Browns was to retain talent like Darius Smith. They brought in Adam Trotman, tight end, to back up David Njoku, who's a ITH alum that I believe we interviewed. Michael Dunn at the guard to really secure the offensive line a bit more. Bringing in Jameis Winston, that quarterback, to back up Deshaun Watson. That's an interesting quarterback in and of itself. The biggest thing I think was the trade for Jerry Jeudy. I will say this, for the reputation that Jerry Jeudy developed out in Denver, his drops were only a problem as a rookie. How many drops did he have last year with the Broncos? Just 2. And he was often injured in that system too. Plus, he didn't benefit in a West Coast offense that Sean Payton runs up in Denver. I think the system that they run here with Kevin within the Browns will help open up Jerry Jeudy more as a crisp route runner. The fact that he got that 3-year, $52 million contract with the work that he had in Denver really shocked me, to say the least. But let's see if he can earn every dollar that he has there. I think the biggest loss that they had was the quarterback Joe Flacco when he signed with the Indianapolis Colts. The fact that he stepped in, couched the quarterback to go in and lead the Browns to a playoff berth was astounding. And you lose that kind of depth at the quarterback position with a quarterback who not only has a huge contract number, but also has a huge injury issue. That you're playing with fire, Stefanski. So I hope you know what you're doing at that spot, at least when it comes to like what they need. I feel like they fill in a lot of needs. They didn't really have to go big into free agency other than keeping their own guys. I think the biggest thing they have to do is address whatever they have left in the draft. And their earliest pick is at 54. So their biggest holes is going to be offensive line. They still need more depth after losing both their tackles last year to injury last year. Linebackers a little thin. It's a little aged in the linebacker group. So you can try to get like some young ones in there to try to raise from the group inside. And then get a running back to back up Nick Chubb. He's 28, coming off a torn ACL. The running back group they have already isn't that stellar, so try to get a young guy in there.
I dig it. I'm not mad at it. I'll actually even be minus only because of the fact that they lost Joe Flacco. And I love Joe Flacco saying, like, yeah, I'm kind of surprised I'm not back in Cleveland. Like, I love that. I love that because he's It's like, y'all forget what I did, or all right, cool. Coach, let's go to you. Let's talk about. I'm gonna let you have it. No, I'm not. Let's talk about the Ravens. I was going to say your Ravens. I'm gonna
Baltimore
say
Ravens. Yes.
Ravens.
Let's talk about them. So, how do I put this nicely? This is not the same roster as last year. And last year's roster was exceptionally good. The moves that were made through the GM were impeccable. But this year, we're going to need some of them same moves because we lost a lot of guys. We gained a lot of picks in this year's draft and next year's draft, but we've lost a lot, and we have a lot to replace and not enough money to be spending a lot. We lost three starting offensive linemen, 2 guards, and a tackle. You cannot do that when you have a Lamar Jackson there. Yes, we have guys that we've already been grooming and having the wings ready to go, but we don't know how they're going to fare as first-time, full-time starters. Running back, we have Derrick Henry. Are we going to use him? And if we do, is Keaton Mitchell still going to be a play in our offense? Are we just going to forget about what he did, or are we going to forget about what Justice Hill was able to do last year? Those are things I wonder about. I know our fullback position is fine. I know Lamar is going to be fine another year, another magical Lamar season. But my thing is this. Who's really going to be our number one? How is this offense really going to take off passing-wise? Are we still going to be a short intermediate passing game with a screenplay to try to get big and tight ends we got to rely on? No, we shouldn't have to do that. We have a great 2 tight ends, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews. We need to use that. But then we also need to solidify our second receiver spot. Zay Flowers has his. Rashad Bateman, you have been hurt way too much for me to fully solidify you. I need more. So I'm looking for that third or possibly that number 2 receiver behind Zay. So I see Zay just growing in that spot. I need definitely a starting caliber receiver. And on the flip side, need a starting caliber corner. We lost a lot of corners and safeties this year. Things we can afford to lose somewhat. We still have a good guy in Brandon Stevens who had a breakout year this year at the corner spot. Marlowe is still Marlowe when healthy. This is definitely a down year for him. But we need to have extra corners. You need that third corner, as we just talked about earlier. This is no longer a defensive league. This is an offensive league, and you got to protect the end zone. From who? Wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. We need another safety. We need another corner. It's just that simple. Linebacker-wise, well, shoot. We got Trenton Simpson. I got faith Trenton Simpson's going to do exactly what PQ did. So, oh, yeah, I love it. And we need to hope David Ojabo, Odafe Owe finally do what they were drafted to do, which is get sacks. The unhealth of both of those two have been crippling us to bring in veterans like Jadeveon Clowney.
Who's the guy that your defensive lineman that signed $98 million?
Oh yeah, I'm cool with that. My guy Justin Matabika. That was one thing that how I say this nicely. He is and will be for the next 4 years one of the most dominant defensive tackles in this league, getting at minimum 12 sacks a year if he plays to his ability. No, I would not. No, I would not. I would trade a first this year and maybe a first next year, or a first this year and definitely a second next year, but not 2 firsts with seconds and thirds. That's too much. That's mortgage in a house for one player. Shoot, I just grabbed T. Higgins for all of that.
Let's go, Darius.
All right, I got the Bengals, and I was, when I was looking at their offseason, they didn't really make a lot of big moves, right? A little bit of in-house signings. You get Sheldon Rankins, you bring him back on a 2-year deal, so you'll solidify your defensive line. I think the biggest thing that the Bengals should be happy, you're getting your quarterback back. Joe Burrow is going to be back next season. He's going to be back, and that's huge. We talk about offense or your quarterback's coming back. An underrated signing that I like, Mike Gesicki. I think low risk, high reward. they need a tight end, especially after Hayden Hurst left. So they need a tight end, and Gesicki could be that tight end, especially if T. Higgins is gone, and now all the pressure may be on Jamar Chase. So you have that security blanket with Mike Gesicki. Then you bring in a guy, I'm sorry, Darren, Geno Stone, the guy, safety. He has 7 interceptions. You bring in a guy like him. You bring in Von Bell, right? Like, they lost Jesse Bates, and I think he was a huge success to that secondary, and they struggled. But you bring in Von Bell, who knows the system, who's been there before. We bring in a guy like Geno Stone. So you kind of have your safeties in place, and now you just gotta beef up your corners. Zach Moss had a very, very good season, especially with Jonathan Taylor being hurt, and then you lose Joe Mixon. Now you bring in a running back on a 1-year deal, cheaper contract, and a proven type of deal. And if he produces well, you can resign him. So if I have to give the Bengals any type of grade, I would say like a B-. Just because, again, you're getting Joe Burrow back, you re-signed some key free, you kept some in-houses, and you brung in some players to help out your defense, like a Geno Stone, to really help out that back. And you bring in Von Bell, who's I think he's going to make an impact for that team, especially because he's familiar with the system.
I like it. I got the Steelers. Hey, man. I gave them an A. Straight up and down. It might even be an A+. Like, the more I look at it, I'm leaning toward A+. You got the cheapest quarterback room in the NFL right now. Russell Wilson on a $1.2 million deal. Justin Fields still on his rookie deal. Like, I mean, you got a former Super Bowl winner in Russell Wilson, who was playing pretty good football last year in Denver, who's got a chip on his shoulder because of how Denver treated him. So he's angry. You've got Justin Fields, who's got a chip on his shoulder for how Chicago treated him. So he's angry. So it's going to be, and the different packages you can run with both those guys. Let's just call it what it is. Like, it could be a Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick situation where Justin Fields comes in every now and again to run the football and different things like that. I mean, and the reality is, it's a possibility. Like, you don't re-sign Russell after this season, and Justin Fields gets to sit and learn behind a Super Bowl winning quarterback and then flourishes. That's amazing. Van Jefferson, after losing Deontay Johnson, not the best move ever. Definitely not the best move. But you still have, what is his name?
Pickens.
George Pickens. Though he's a diva, he's a great receiver. Like, he is a really good receiver. He cries a lot, and I don't like it, but he's a really good receiver. He's a beast. Van Jefferson is a solid slot receiver. You bring in Cordero Patterson, who I'm assuming you're going to use as that Swiss Army knife, but he'll probably play more receiver than he does play running back. Why? Because you have Najee Harris and I'm gapping names again.
Warren.
Thank you. Jaylen Warren behind him. I believe that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Okay, well, that's beautiful. Okay, Mike. Shout out to that. But anywho, so I think you bring him in. But here's the 3 moves that I really love. Bringing in Patrick Queen. Bringing in Dante Jackson. And then bringing in Deshaun Elliott. You already got Minka. Then you add in Deshaun. You got Patrick Queen. I'm sorry, but the Steelers look like they made some moves. Okay, now obviously offensively there's still question marks, and there should be some question marks with Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator. However, in my opinion, I think he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach. So, with that being said, and he knows how to scheme up a running game. Like, let's just call it.
We said the same thing about Nathaniel Hackett, and look what happened.
Well, Nathaniel Hackett was a hack. And here's the thing: Arthur Smith he's got a proven track record of at least knowing how to scheme up the running game. He's going to absolutely help Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. They're going to have probably breakout seasons this year, which is obviously going to help Russell Wilson because he's a play action quarterback. I'm just saying, the Steelers, they might steal that division, like, pun intended. I I like what they did in the offseason. That's all I'm saying.
If there's one team I feel like is gonna like be able to get past the new hip drop tackle rule because of how great of a defense they are as a unit, it's gonna be the Steelers. That team has been a consistent defensive juggernaut in that division. And I think whatever rules that they're implemented, they always adapt, and they're always a top 10, top 5 unit year in, year out. Mike Tomlin got those guys trained well.
I'm gonna tell you, like, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna say it like Raheem Morris said about Atlanta. If they had just average quarterback play, just average quarterback play, the Steelers they could have won that division. I mean, I don't think they would have. Baltimore was just really, really good last year, to Darren's point. But I mean, some of those games could have swung a completely different way. I mean, just average quarterback play. Like, let's not forget, again, winning season, made the playoffs with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. Like, could you? I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just saying. All I'm saying.
I'll put it like this. The Steelers are going to be what they always are, a very solid team. Mike Tomlin is coaching them, so they're going to have a winning season. It is just what it is. But you get a guy that really hasn't developed and become him until he had a all-pro next to him. A guy that we got rid of multiple years back because, well, he can't cover that well. He can defend the run. But if you're a safety, you got to be able to cover too, buddy. And then you have a corner that, how do I say this? He's fast as heck, but so the reason why he wasn't that good down there, sir, it's the reason you came and got traded for dang near pennies on the dollar. But I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is sometimes it's schemes matter. Schemes absolutely 100% matter.
And scenery definitely does matter too as well.
This feels like another, like, from what we've all talked about in terms of everything, this feels like that the AFC North is primed to have at least 4 teams have winning records this season, barring injuries, of course. I think I have the mindset that if Joe Burrow had not gone down, the Bengals would have had a winning record, even with Manning everything.
Let's remember this. The Steelers have a pass rush too. So the corners don't have to cover as long. Like having a pass rush like that all I'm saying is
Bradbury.
All I'm saying is Steelers had double-digit. All I'm saying is Steelers had double-digit wins, and with terrible quarterback play. Bradbury, you said Bradbury, but like the Eagles' pass rush wasn't that great this year. Like, let's call it.
I'm talking about when it was. Bradbury was him. We know what you're talking about. The pass rush look good. The corners look good. The pass rush don't look that good. Well,
the corner's going to get exposed.
That's all I'm saying. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for us. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We really, 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 really do. Please do me a favor. Go follow us on all of your social media platforms. That's Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Hashes, and on X or Twitter if you're old school. We are at Inside Hashes. Please go and do that. But then do me a favor. Go over to YouTube, okay? Go to YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. But hit the notification button as well. Put on those notification alerts so you know when we are going live. That way you can get your comments dropped in here live like you saw here today. We love interacting with you all. And thank you everybody who was in the comments throwing in their 2 cents. Okay, 493 until 10K on X. Y'all better go follow
on Twitter. We're not calling it X. My mama call her Twitter, so I'm calling her Twitter.
I'm not mad at it. But listen, do me a favor, then go to the website, www.insidethehashes.com. That's where you're going to get everything. That's where you're going to get podcasts like this and the RPO podcast. That's where you're going to get interviews with players that you see in the league, like a Noah Fant and whoever else, okay, that you see in the NFL. Go and check it out. That's where you're also going to get blogs if you're a reader, okay? If you're somebody who likes to read the articles and whatnot, go to www.insidethehashes.com. But if that is a little too much for you, all you got to do is scan this QR code right here. This QR code right here will take you exactly where you need to be, okay? Go ahead and do that for the Juan plus Juan, for that man Darius, for the coach, Mr. Braxton himself. My name is Avery. This is the Air It Out podcast. Oh, I also wanted to leave on this note. I saw Drake May's pro day today. If he stops patting the football like Matt Ryan,
Why does he
I
always
I
have
don't-
the defensive
honestly, I
of
don't
patting balls,
and the
man?
thing is,
Why do you
I'd rather take Jaden Daniels. I'd rather take Jaden Daniels.